Hi there. Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. When last we left off, we had been trying to cross-examine these dudes, but things were not going too hot for us. Every time we pressed, oh sorry, I had already gone through this off-screen. Every time we pressed, it just made the jurors even more sure that our dude was guilty. But hey, we can always make, I'm sure we can make some in-grounds. I think we pressed everyone's statement except this last one, so let's go ahead and do that. What exactly did you see? Well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, oh, yeah, collapsed on the floor he was.
And by the passenger, obviously you're referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
And then the other passenger had that knife in his hand, like this.
By the other passenger, obviously you're referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilded.
And then he plunged it down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly. What?
My lord, I wish to speak.
Yes, juror number 5. Do I take it that you too?
As a master of the London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse is bolted, as I say.
No. Please just keep it. Gee up now, Civil Blaze. The finish is in sight.
Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says.
Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah, too kind, sir. This is too unkind, sir.
Which now means that 5 jurors agree to condemn this man. Madam Juror number 6.
Yes, dear? What can I do for you?
You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand.
Oh, yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know.
Then, pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning?
Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with me knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. McGilded Park, it's called. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know? Just put a smile on Londoners' faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life. He is always doing wonderful things for the city. That's right. A man like that wouldn't stab someone, surely. Mother, may we go to the McGilded Public Library later and borrow some more books?
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of a man Magnus McGilded really is?
What kind of a man he is?
The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls.
Well, that's a bit of a racial slur, I think. Or at least a slur. An ethnic slur, maybe. What? Stone the crows.
McGilded lends money at extortionate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak.
Oh, so I guess like a venture capitalist. I've I've never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has it thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service?
You're not saying that...
The victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name, save considerable financial liability. It will come across as no surprise that his creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was a final repayment date for his debts.
Good gracious!
The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him. His life. But a merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded.
I don't believe it. If I might add something briefly, Miss Sato, you claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded, but where is the evidence to support your claim? Nice wine glass you got there, pal.
Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice in a court of law.
Ah, there it is. Lord Van Zyke's hallowed chalice. How can this be considered acceptable?
But I find myself in unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself.
Ah! As judicial assistant to the defense, I am simply doing my job.
What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is a debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside.
Oh.
Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time.
A marvelous toast, counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence. That's not great. For us, anyway. Oh, yes, 20 guineas. The victim had a considerable sum.
And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense.
Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes.
Regrettably, madam, that is a modus operandi of the accused.
And it's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel! Still... maybe it's all for the best. Wait a minute. Let's think about this a little more before... I don't stand for nonsense. Oof. Okay, well that's not a good sign. Well, that was it. The last juror's decision. And we got kind of butt-fucked that trial, didn't we, guys? I mean, we didn't even get a chance to present any sick evidence, you know? We just kind of got railroaded and thrown over a barrel, you know? According to this encyclopedia of British law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here. The final verdict. It's over then. Stick a fork in me. I'm roast turkey. Oh! There's a footnote, though. A footnote? However, the defense... All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in this case.
Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision.
According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections. Maybe. Miss Sazato, just tell me one thing. Oh, yes. You were in the middle of saying something before. The footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defense... What did it say next? Oh, yes, of course. One moment. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. Then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point. A summation... what now? A summation examination?
Objection!
A summation examination? For what century has a tome you have there been resurrected? Ah! Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, and sadly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck.
Oh. What even is it, Miss Sazato? This so-called summation examination. Oh, one moment and I'll read about it.
You would demand the right to proceed before you even understand what it entails? Typical Nipponese.
All right, Mr. Naruhodo. I think I understand. It seems under this procedure, we will be able to appeal to the members of the jury. To do what, exactly? Appeal to them to change their leading and reverse their decisions. And it says here that if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed. Make them reverse their decisions. Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. But that procedure became something of formality with no practical benefit, really. So, it rather fell out of use. I wonder why.
Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind will be hard enough, but let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age.
Still, I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that, although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? A summation examination, our last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out, or admit defeat? You know what? We got a right to it, so let's do it. Let's say, stick it to fucking Barack Obama Von Zykes. Motherfucker. The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
But if it's our right, it's our right. I believe it can prove vital in this trial. The defense's petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination.
This is madness.
Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? Eh? Well, I'm not, there was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so, all members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached a decision. On what grounds? You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty. Which frankly just seems like it should be something that to do, so that they can't just decide on a whim that someone's guilty and leave it at that, you know? Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot. This is most irregular. No mention was made of this before. I don't really hold with all this justifying lot. That seems to have thrown the jurors off. It seems none of them have experienced this before. Alright then. The summation examination. A defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, maybe I'm just the right guy to bring it back. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. Well, just maybe, it might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around. So be it then. Well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilded, guilty of this most serious crime. All right. It looks like we're talking directly to the jury this time. There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it would have to have been him. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion. We can trust the guild. Fair fare's our motto. We haven't raised prices of 4 pence for years. The scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor. It beggars belief. I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now. Ugh. Well, some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they? Well, let's see what we can do. You know, we need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them, and use some very persuasive language. Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, that's not quite how it works. Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heart-warming rhetoric about our defendant. Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. I mean, yeah, I guess it's like the, the Dunning-Kruger effect, the backfire effect, however you want to call it. You know, if someone's set in their belief about something and you present them evidence that contradicts that belief, well, it just makes them become even more set in that incorrect belief. So, something like that anyway. But then, they've reached their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Then what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm deciding what I've read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work, then? Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments. What do you mean, pal? Well, the 6 members of the jury are random selected members of the public. They may appear to present a united front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. And that's the way to break them down, you mean? Psychologically, and physically, and mentally, emotionally, we turn them into broken husks who don't even know their own name? And that way, they won't even know what guilty means. What a genius plan, Zazato. Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can, we then contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other in a sort of a deathmatch situation in which the last juror standing is the one who declares our guy innocent, and since there's only one guy left, we basically won the trial, you know? It's pretty foolproof, if you ask me. I see. So it's contradictions in what two or more jurors say that we're looking for. In a way, then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination. Oh, yes, I suppose you're right. Find contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. Alright, I might be able to pull this one off. No, that's not right. Yeah, bitch slap your face. I have to pull this off. Can we start proceedings, counsel? I've got dinner date later today, and I don't want to miss it, you see. I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal. Yes, my lord. Let's see. Well, there's a couple different points we can go after, because I think if you consider this guy saying they haven't raised their prices above 4 pence for years, and then you can contrast it to this statement about there are 4 drivers or passengers with fares totaling 20 pence, that doesn't quite add up, now does it? And there's also this. Look, he says he's stabbing like that, because you know, it's basically they were sitting right next to each other when the guy got stabbed. But this lady is saying it was like a downward stab after he had been on the floor, which I think Beppo said, or one of them said. I don't know. Either way, both of those pairs of statements seem a little contradictory. So let's try and explore this. Contrast this one with this one. Those two statements are completely contradictory. What? Explain, counsel. Post haste. Oh, dearie me. I was only knitting a jumper for my other half. What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask ya? Oh, look at him walking. Look at him strutting. He's strutting and cutting and shit. You're looking pretty smooth in 3D, my dude. We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3. What? Can't you see that I'm busy here? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Ha! Want to test me, do ya? It was like this. Struck the fellow next to him without even getting up. Just like the prim banker said. Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony. Quite true, quite true. Now then, juror number 6. Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do you for, young man? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madame? Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it, it was like this. How he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so. Now don't move. Take a look at these 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed on the floor. Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions. What? Bless my stitches. What a muddle. What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth. Oh. But why? Why the dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Can you really let that happen in all good conscience? Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies. The scales. I don't believe it. Wait. Now hear this, my fellow journalists. I warn you. You cannot listen to this man. Look at him in this black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all. If I could use magic, that's a bit weird to say. Just throwing it out there. Do you really think I'd be putting myself through all this? Answer me this, Doc Jinx. Me? What exactly is the problem? What of it if two witnesses have slightly different recollections of events? What of it? Let's say, the Shylock did stab the victim as he was sat next to him on the omnibus, and this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and then the Shylock stabbed him again, and this old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that, hmm? Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you. Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you. Ugh, they're ready to kill each other now. Yeah, let them pick each other off one by one. That's how we win this trial, baby. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the two witnesses see two different moments of the same crime? Actually, let me check. Stabbed once in the abdomen. See, so he says one stab, right? So, what he's suggesting is out of the question. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman. What is it, you Doc Jinx? Come on, out with it. What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question. What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? You do realize that I'm only doing my job. As foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So, where's your evidence, man? That's what we want to see. I say the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of the question, well, show me some proof, damn it. It looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. I got your proof right here. Fucking fist to the face. Okay, so like I said, it has to be the autopsy report, right?
Take that!
This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen only once. Eh? Only once? Sorry, I clicked that a little fast. It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen two different times. This knife just fucking disappears. What the fuck? Alright, I concede defeat. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. You did it. If we can manage to change two more jurors' minds, we can force the trial to continue. Two more. Actually, there is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. Then that's where you must strike next. So I need to pit two more jurors against each other and show that there's another contradiction in their assertions. Exactly. You can do it. Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavily on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation, examination, emancipation, proclamation, declaration. I'm no lover of the rich, but I despise liars even more. Innocent is my call, for now at least. Huh. Dear me, you can't make accusations based on lies. I wonder if the poor man is innocent after all. Okay, well there's also the other thing. This odd price discrepancy.
Objection!
You can see what that might be about. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. They do. Explain yourself, counsel. Me? Oh dear, what have I said? I swear on Silver Blaze's name and name, I haven't the first idea what you're talking about. There you go walking again. According to the group testimony that we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. And, according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, still a weird fucking name, or really more silly than anything, he took 20 pence in fares. Quite right. Oh, sorry. Quite right. I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me. And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence. Right it is. A fair and convenient single price. Just the way London's carriages should be operated. But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it is a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man? Why? 4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication... it would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely, 1 person's fare. 1 person's fare? Yes. Yes. In other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible there was another passenger we've heard nothing about. Good gracious. This can't be right. The coachman of the guild are good, honest men. One and all, trustworthiness is our watchword. The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy. Yeah, I cannot land a consistent voice for that lady. I'm trying to make it kind of shrill and annoying. I beg your pardon. Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he lets nefarious characters ride his omnibus. All right then. How do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end, Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire onto the innocent side of the set of scales. Now hold your horses there, coachman. We were all in agreement. Why do you have to go and... Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo! Man, poor Beppo. Hey, there's another one on our side. Arg! This is all very irritating. Begging your pardon, sir, I'm going to do the same. For the love of Mike. What kind of fucking exclamation is that? Not you as well. A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters. Oh, really? I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning not guilty. Sick. We've done it, Mr. Naruhodo. We've won. Oh gosh, you're so cute, Susato. What are you playing at, you dandy fool? Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me. But we had a consensus. I said, shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one. And if a chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade, and shave every last hair off his head. Please tell me he's a barber. Yeah, let's hope. Well, in a quite remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority for me to advocate, and the trial must continue. Hell yeah, man, we made some forward progress, so that's cool. Hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their places. And I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. Okay, well, we were able to get to our first summation examination pretty smoothly, and again, make some forward progress, so that's good. It seems like a good enough place to stop for right now. I'm curious to see where else this might end up going, because, like I said, it's been very, we had our back to the wall since the very beginning, but at least things are slightly turning our way. But, we'll be digging into it more next time. But until then,